Mabuhay!
Hi! Welcome to
the Babaylan Bruja Book Club podcast.
It's your village kapwatids, Steph
and Amy. Here we are together again, and as always, in efforts to decolonize our minds, bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journeys as we discuss the works of honored artists, authors, and thought leaders across the Filipinx diaspora.
Quick disclaimer, we want to acknowledge that in this moment, everyone is exactly where they need to be.
And since we are not experts, yet we are sharing our own unique lived experiences, we invite you to take or toss any statements, any opinions, any words we may use as you choose.
And we are so glad you found your way here. So as always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground, to take a pause, to drop into our bodies and become fully present. If it is safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus onto your breath. Take some deep inhales through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Continue to do that in your own time and at your own pace, but continue to breathe deeply in and exhale all of it out, coming fully into this moment, whether your eyes are open or not. And if your eyes are open, I invite you to take a moment to look around and become present. So don't worry about tomorrow or today. Can you allow yourself to feel what's happening in the now? And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to thank God, Bathala, Creator, for another gathering. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and our guides. Thinking of the ancestors of the lands Stephanie and I currently occupy, knowing we cannot do our own remembrance without remembering them. For myself, that is the mound builders that are the Hopewell and Adena people in Ohio. For Stephanie, that is the Bay, Miwok, Yokut people in the Inland Bay Area of California. With gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, Kaputid, your energy and your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in. Hi, sis.
Hi, sissy sis.
Hi, welcome back, Babaylan Brujas. Good to see your face, sissy. I've missed you.
I missed you. I like this yellow on you.
Oh, thank you. It's my color. Like I've been buying a lot of tops that are like yellow. Like it reminds me of the Philippine flags somehow. It makes me feel more Filipino.
Legit, we were going to match earrings. I forgot to tell you that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to wear the white ones you gave me.
Oh, snap.
But
that's crazy.
Yeah, the necklace said wear me.
Yeah, it did. And you should definitely wear that necklace.
Thank you.
Again, if you're listening to us on
visit on YouTube.
Yes, come look at Ati Steph's necklace. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, so as always, we do Brown Girl Cliff Notes. Oh, wait, no. We do Decolonizing Heart Check, Brown Girl Cliff Notes, and then vocab words and quotes. So let's get into it. Decolonizing Heart Check. Hold on, let me get my timer.
You're using the watch, though. Okay.
Yeah, because my phone is across the
That's decolonizing. No, just kidding. Well, kind of.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
So part of my journey has been connecting back with plants and healing plants. And I was on Twitter World the other day, and it was like, why do we refer to plant medicines as the alternate medicine when it was the original medicine? For example, like Tylenol. Take what Tylenol does for us when we're in pain, right? It's a pain reliever. So the original medicine actually came from willow bark, right? Yep. Like y'all's Pocahontas again, Grandmother Willow, she gave Pocahontas, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that plant medicine was the original medicine and it became Tylenol, big pharma patented it, da, 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 da. So my dad was cutting up a papaya this morning. So I was like, it's molding. And papaya seeds, I think, have been calling me to work with them. So I'm looking forward to drying them out. And my partner just purchased a thing for me to, I'm having a decolonizing pressured, what's the thing to ground it, sis?
Mortar and pestle.
Mortar and pestle, but it's wood. So this will be fun to crush it up and make some, I don't know. I've never made like homemade capsules, but I guess I'm going to try. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Or just like putting in my smoothies because the papaya seeds are anti-parasitic, by the way. That's why I'm going to use them because I'm going to head into this parasite cleanse in June.
Nice.
And so that's my decolonizing plant medicine thing. It's time to change it up and try something new. Because it's kind of really strong, y'all's like papaya seeds. Like if you put them in your smoothie, like that shit, you will know it's there. So yeah. Anyways.
Yay. Well, it's time. So thank you for sharing. Anti-parasitic. I did not know that. I knew that it helps with digestion. So that makes a lot of sense. So
yes. Save the seeds.
I'm ready.
All right. I don't have a watch on, so I'm going to use my phone.
Do it.
1 minute and 30 seconds, sis. If my phone will let you. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about animism. So, our pre-colonial ancestors, and honestly, all of the pre-Christian, pre-colonial ancestors across the world have the idea that everything has spirit, everything is spiritual. And so I was thinking about how if we adopt this idea and really embrace the idea of like everything having spirit, if consumerism would go down. Because then if you say your phone, for example, take your phone, right? So we wouldn't be like, oh, I just want a new one. We would be like, oh my gosh, my phone is a whole ass energy and helps me every day. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, and then there wouldn't be maybe not as much trash. This is all hypotheses, because when we would get rid, quote unquote, when it would be time to not have a relationship with that particular object, we would release it in a way that was honoring to the earth and honoring to that object, So am I time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, also you're stopping at 5:55.
Oh, what?
That's bruja time. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about. And then you wouldn't just get something else right away, because you would think about it, because you're like, I'm going to come into another relationship with another object. Do I have capacity for that?
Yeah.
Is that something I want to do? So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was thinking that's my phone. I would upgrade every other. I was like, I'll do the 3S or the 4S or the 5S. Cause I was like, why? This is at least a year's worth. And then buying a car, that was spiritual for me, because my car was my ride or die. I was like, I treated it like it was a horse. We definitely been through a lot. And so replacing the car was kind of a spiritual thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, as it should be. I mean, your energy signature was all up in there, and it was with you through
a lot.
It sees you in your car sees you in your intimate times,
Oh, yeah. Oh, what were we talking about? No, we're not.
Okay, we'll
But,
leave it right there.
and you just got a new car too, sis. So, like, yeah, it's a process to like let go. And anyway, if we treated metals and which have a spirit to them, there's a charge. Yeah, I think we'd be much more aware of the waste that we create.
Yes, aware of the waste and the way we consume, etc.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So anyway,
great perspective.
Thank you. I am complete.
Yay.
Okay, here we go. Brown Girl Cliff Notes. Let's dive into the chapter.
Yeah, so written by the vibrant and scholarly S. Lily Mendoza, Manang Leny's sister, who graduated with expertise in studying I'm sorry, y'all, bear with me. Sikolohiyang Filipino, which means Filipino Liberation Psychology. I'm gonna say it again. Sikolohiyang.
Yeah, Sikolohiyang.
Sikolohiyang, yeah. A lot of syllables. Manang Lily takes us through her lovely dissertation on the work of indigenization among scholars in the Philippine Academy, one of her life's self-actualized romances and adventure. Having survived supporting and unconditionally loving her ex-husband who suffered from addiction, Manang Lily speaks of her experiences being able to sit and learn from the founder of the term. You want to say it again, sis? Because you say it better than me.
Sikolohiyang Pilipino. Yeah.
Filipino and elder Virgilio Enriquez up until his last moments of life at the Philippine Psychology Research and Training House in the Philippines. She mentions also learning from other elders and seed planters for the next generations of decolonization work and conversation, including, but not limited to, Zeus Salazar, Popeng and Felipe de Leon Jr. Manang Lily's call to action for the generations ahead feels quite urgent at the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
She suddenly kind of drops it through, but the end was definitely a call to action because she mentions the message relayed by the Kogi indigenous tribe in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta mountains of northern Colombia in South America. How they recruited a news team to document and release a miraculous and perhaps begrudgingly urgent message to the world in 1990. The Kogi warns all of us that we, quote unquote, the younger brother, as they referenced, was not listening to the earth, referencing the sea, and respecting them / the earth / beyond, which is elder brother. So we're like the younger brother consumers. Those more in touch are like elder brother kind of energy / geological boundaries. So it seems that her hope is for all of us resonating with this chapter to continue building the bridges between the masses in the world who are corrupted, plagued by greed, and to dismantle those systems, ideally before it's too late. So
that was in 1990.
Yeah, and it's 2022.
That was 30 years ago.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. And here we are. So,
how are those bridges going? How is those dismantling of the systems? How is that going for everybody?
I know, right? I feel like there's some, but it's not enough. So.
Yeah.
Mama Earth, we trying. I'm like, hang in there, man. No.
Yeah. Well, thank you for.
Anything I missed this?
I don't think so. Thank you for that summary. Very well done. And
A+?
A+.
Oh, sige.
Galing. Oh, sige.
Okay.
All right, so we'll dive into vocabulary words. I shall go first.
Yes, please.
So my vocabulary word is colonial education.
Ooh.
I'll say it again, colonial education. So Manang Lily says, When all the authoritative representations around you have nothing to do with your own reality, it is like looking into the mirror and finding no one there. This, in a lot of ways, is what colonial education has meant in my experience: an exercise in self-alienation, marginalization, and self-sabotage. So this term, colonial education, necessarily isn't like a specific psychological term or anything, but I like how she defined it. And like, I think we can all kind of resonate with that, like going, not being in the school system or even just like being in America, right? Just the colonial education is an exercise in self-alienation, marginalization, and self-sabotage. It's on page 248.
Okay.
So
yeah, I missed that. That's under the subheader of, I think, excess. Yeah, excesses.
Yes, under the
started on 244, and this is on 248. So nothing to do with your own. There's looking in the mirror and finding no one there.
Yeah. So, she prefaces this by talking about her time in the evangelical church. I mean, honestly, her and Ate Leny's stories, or Manang Leny's stories, are very resonant for me personally.
Right.
But yeah, I just like the way that she articulated it. It's always good to have words to things so people have language. So I feel that helps you heal when you understand what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colonial education. I feel like I'm just like letting my body feel into it, and it feels like a reverse psychology kind of term. Like, colonial education was forced upon us as an exercise in self-alienation, marginalization, and self-sabotage. Wow.
When I think about it, it feels like a pill, like medicine we had to swallow. And so we did it to ourselves, in the sense that, this is self-alienation, marginalization, self-sabotage. So we took the pill, and it made us think that there was something wrong with us, that there was something wrong because we couldn't be like the status quo, So
that's so terrible.
It's
like roofing us, kind of.
It is. I mean, and it's the system. So, so yeah, everybody take some deep breaths. You feel that if you're that.
I'm gonna go throw up my colonial education right now. I'm gonna
right?
I'm feeling all the, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes ancestral rage just comes up, and I just feel like saying, silly things that you'll regret later. But it's like, this is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
It is some bullshit. It really is.
Yeah.
So I think the uneducation, the yeah.
Like Lauryn Hill said, she's smart. And look what happened to Lauren. Legacy, respect, but the miseducation of
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah. The miseducation of the Philippine diaspora.
Yeah.
Colonial education. Man, okay. That's a good one. I didn't even highlight it, sis. I didn't even.
Yeah.
So emboldened for me.
So the whole to get uneducated or whatever is to remember who you is what we're doing here. This is unschooling. This is like getting reverse education. So remembering who you are, where you came from, etc.
Yeah.
So
thank you for that word.
You're welcome. Yeah. And so if that feels, breathe through that, if that's hitting you in a certain way. And I want to point out what Ati Steph said in the last episode, which I remember because I just edited it. That's why I'm remembering. But you said something really great about how words can be like, it's a both and situation, like colonial education. Like words can have like a hurt point, but it can also have like a hope point as well. So colonial education, that's some bullshit, right? And now that we know, we can start uneducating ourselves,
right,
in colonialism.
Right. So. I think her saying it, her defining in her experience and exercise in self-alienation, marginalization, and self-sabotage is true. And I think that that's triggering, because who is like, yeah, I love being manipulated. Like, unless you into that sadist masochist kind of energy, like, not when it comes to my culture. Okay.
Yeah. So
anyways, thank you. Yeah. Whoa.
I am complete. So
okay.
Your turn.
My word didn't really come as like a bold word either, sis. It's on page 249. It's under the woundings subpart, but I wanted to bring up how she says, for to be called she talks about, I don't know why people in modern life want to be shamans. And I love that sentence. She actually quoted somebody, Pretchell, 1998, says, I don't know why people in modern life want to be shamans. And in this industry that we're in now with the wellness, like people are offering shaman certifications.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram today. I was like, what? That's not how that works, friend.
I know.
Shamanism chooses you.
I feel like the internet, this is a tangent, but has like capitalized shamanism, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's nothing romantic about it. We just go around capturing monsters, re-sweetening the earth, and making people's memories taste good again. I like that quote. I like that she quoted it. But that giving you context, she says, what he didn't mention is that the obligatory initiation required of those called to the shamanic vocation that would give pause to any enthusiastic aspirant. For to be called to a healing vocation is to undergo woundedness.
Yeah.
To be willing to suffer some form of death or even a physical near-death experience. Mm-hmm. To cross over, as it were, to the other world and try to come back, or actually to come back in a miraculous resurrection in the aftermath. While I by no means lay claim to any such calling, there is a sense in which one may speak of all woundings as having potential towards sacrality or sacredness.
Yeah.
So that word of woundings jumped out, because that's what we're doing here. We're calling out like all the wounds. And I think this conversation of decolonizing and healing, like, you know, self-care, I feel like self-care is a gateway into the actual work that it does take, like, you know, to freaking like face your shadows and face like the parts of you that you're not so proud of, you know? Mm-hmm. So
yeah. And I feel like what is that? Is it Rumi? I think it's a Rumi quote, like the wound is where the light comes in.
Right.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, as you were talking, like I was remembering like a TikTok or some meme. It's like how you think spiritual awakening is going to be. It's like this person like meditating on a yoga mat, and then how it actually is. And it's like this crazy person like crying their eyes out, and they're just like, you know, just like at the end of their mental and emotional
with
capacity.
Like, why does this matter? Like going nuts. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lone wolf syndrome. Like I've felt that so many times. Like, and that's, you know, when I allowed myself to feel it, it led me to you, Sissy, to the Mayati group. You allowed yourself to. And
so
that's where the light enters, literally. Because here we are, like, this podcast wouldn't have happened if we didn't let the wound open up and let the light come in.
Yeah. And again, it's that whole paradox of both and, you know, like it's wounding It's not fun. It is very sacred, and it can lead to beautiful awakenings on the other side. And it's not love and lighting it away. That's not love and lighting it away at all. It's just like you have to go through those wounds in order to get to the other side. So
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't use like batteries to light your way. You gotta let that light come from, it can't be an external battery, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
it has to come from, you'll know who's been lighting themselves up like authentically, who isn't, or not, because there's a lot of people who, you know, for all expressions of the divine, like many people are capable of like putting on a show, and some are, you know. So
yeah.
But again, if you know you're moving with authenticity, that's what matters. So but yeah, I thought that was like a funny quote. Like, I don't know why people want to be shamans. Because it is very humbling work for sure, you know.
I think they're just thinking about the aesthetic, like the simple life, like, you know, being super spiritual, wearing a lot of white, I guess. I don't know. Being on plant medicine every day. I know. Yeah. So,
but
all right. So those are our vocabulary words for today. All right. So let's head into our quotes.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine comes from the very, very beginning on page 243. So Manang Lily kind of, in her opening paragraphs, kind of summarizes why she's going into this subject. So she says, this essay tracks my personal journey out of colonial subjugation into the healing wholeness of Kapwa and an indigenous sense of being in the world, where my religious socialization insisted on a denial of the body and the primacy of abstract thought, aestheticism, and the disciplining of the flesh. My way through has been via the struggle to recover the sensuous wildness of indigenous being, to embrace the sacred wounding of intimate betrayal, and to rebuild sustainable forms of community. And talking about, you know, being a wounded healer, like we talked about in the quotes, or in the vocabulary words, she also goes on to say the Filipino Babaylan, as her archetype in other cultures also suggests, is a wounded healer. So, but what really stuck out to me in this whole quote was the way through all of the things that, you know, like off the way through all the colonial muck, if you will, was for her to recover the sensuous wildness of indigenous being. Come on, what? The sensuous wildness of indigenous being. Let's say it again. The sensuous wildness of indigenous being.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
So, you know, one of the things that's coming up for me in my 40th year of going around the
tell
sun.
Him out there. Tell him. Tell him out there.
Is to recover my own sensuality, and not just sexuality, but like like your senses, and like delighting in the senses, like smells and touch and hearing and sound. Hearing and sound is the same thing, but taste, right? So, and I've been thinking about this thing, like when I go walking in the woods by myself, I freaking love it because I am nobody there. I am not brown. I am not a mom. I am not anybody. I am just one. And the senses, that feels like sensuous wildness to me, you know, just to be unapologetically not scared and a brown woman by herself in the woods with her shoes off, right? Walking around, like, and to feel and to hear, you know, and to use all your senses in the wild, like that feels like sensuous wildness. And so I'm like, that is a way to healing. That is a way to healing, is to tap into that. However you do that, but you know, it's also part of coming back to, you know, Mother Earth and connecting with that energy as well. So, but that was my quote.
That's a beautiful quote, sis. I think you talking about engaging the senses is healing. Some of y'all's tuning in, like my background's health education. And one of the tools that I talk about with people I coach or work with is even mental health. Like when you're anxious, like engaging your senses, because you're anxious, and anxiety is a form of illness. You're diseased. You're in a state of dis-ease. So if you engage your senses, you can bring yourself back. And you kind of talking about the forest as your way of engaging your senses brings you back to earth and to your wild and indigenous sensual self.
Yeah. And, you know, this, as you're talking, this reminds me of like colonial education is all in, it's not all in the mind. That's not what I mean. But like, it's not embodied. It's self. So we're talking about colonial education is self-alienation, marginalization, and self-sabotage, right? So those are all concepts that we kind of like take in, like through our mind. You know what I'm saying? But then to be in our senses is to be embodied. There's a lot of talk about embodiment and somatic release and somatic getting in touch with your senses. So yeah, your body wants to heal
your body.
You. Yeah.
Your body wants to come back. I think that's a theme. We're talking about themes now in the collective. It is embodiment. It is coming back to your body and owning your body. And feels like a download right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But because there's so many ways you can show up in your body. And ultimately, a lot of folks consciously and unconsciously don't, you know? So I think that's the movement. I wanted to, I'm sorry, sis, if you were complete about,
I am complete.
Yeah, she mentions a couple of times about like her very vibrant way of dressing, lipsticks, and I wanted to kind of put a nod to like her referencing of like, you know, for bodily adornment, she never felt like she didn't like to conform. And being in a Catholic, Protestant, you know, the colonial education that we received, they don't want you to stand out or have these like outrageous fashion, loud, scandalous colors, because they want you to look a certain way and act a certain way. So I think you bring up this quote just gives a nod again to like her embodying it, because she references her, you know, scandalous colors and her lipstick colors throughout the essay. So.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, I was thinking as well, I don't remember off the top of my head if she articulated it this way, but when you go into nature, there are some wild ass colors out there, especially from where we are from, you know, where our ancestors are from. There are some loud, beautiful, just like colors, you know.
I know.
And honestly, like I love freaking patterns. I'm trying to like chill on the patterns, but like I love patterns. I love color. And you know, one of my friends commented one time like, no, I could never wear this or that, and they happen to be white. And I was like, you know, sometimes in where we live, I know people are looking anyway. So I'm like, might as well give them something to look at.
Tell them. Oh,
let's just go ahead and wear the colors. Because
I'm already brown. Some extra brown.
They're already looking at a color. So let's like give them some more, you know?
I love it. While you're here, while you're at it.
Yeah. So anyway, I am complete with that. Thank you, Sissy.
Okay, thank you for that, sis. So my quote's like at the end. I was really touched at just a way that this was I don't know, it resonated for me, this piece. But at the end, after the Kogi warning, again, that indigenous tribe from South America, letting us, a younger brother, know to get it together, which she calls the collective globalized industrial culture, how we contribute to not honoring Earth. I wanted to bring some hope into it. And when she says like, you know, giving some context to where I'm going with the quote. The collective globalized industrial culture, it's been about she says 500 years. Its logic of addiction to ease, comfort, domination, wealth accumulation, and control is a war waged against all that will not submit to its demand, against all that is wild, raw, untamed, anarchic, and free. And she said, going down to the chapter or paragraph at the end, I read somewhere of the phenomenon of hatred for hunter-gatherer peoples. How dare they insist defiantly on surviving with or without a techno-age, unprecedented human kind of world? Could it be that the hatred ultimately is about just that in the face of corporate industrial culture's insistence on its own way at best, as the only way to live? For example, like the world we're in now, where technology keeps advancing, you got to keep up with certain things and programs, and you know all these things. iPhone keeps updating every day. We have a new drone coming out, you know.
Right.
So like that kind of insisting that that's the way we're going, AI, that there remains witnesses to a whole other way of being, beckoning the disillusioned romantics among us to think that another world, another way of life is actually possible. And so I know I'm skipping, but just to kind of sum it up here, she says, this is home now, away from home. And my hope is that, like those called to be bridge builders among worlds, I may in time learn how to bridge my to her own two worlds. But she was saying, hopefully you do before the world ends. I just bring up this quote about bridge building because I think it was a nice mention of like, there are people out there who are using their imagination to usher in the new earth. And a lot of it has to do with touching into our roots again.
Yeah.
You posted something the other day, sis, was like, we have to go backwards to go forwards. The future is indigenous, you know, those are things.
Indigenous innovation. Yeah, I like how she says when she's talking about the worlds that she has to bridge, she talks about the modern world, but then she talks about my indigenous world that lives mostly in my gut and body memory. And I think that is maybe why in the collective there's such a return to somatic learning, to somatic healing, and to embodiment, because we're like, we realize that there are things that our body and our gut know just instinctually that we can't necessarily get out of the technology that's in front of our face. Not saying one is good, the technology is not good or bad. It is a tool. It is a, I don't know, like my talk about animism like earlier. I'm like, is it a tool? It's like a whole ass energy, you know? This is my MacBook in front of me, but it's
I was just gonna say that we're using it right now to communicate and deliver this, you know. So I think, again, just imagination. One of my teachers says imagination is like a nation of magicians. I imagine nation of a magician. We are a nation of magicians. So think about your thoughts. That's why I say, so words are spells. So, you know, while, you know, myself in particular, like, you know, conspiracy theories have come up, I have reached a point, it's like, okay, that can be possible, and so can this, and I'd rather choose to anchor into this belief. So
yes
we need more of that, as I'm trying to, like, you know, that meme, sis, the Care Bears.
The Care Bear.
We all need a Care Bear unite.
So Okay, well, are you complete?
I am complete.
All right, well, thank you for that. And yeah.
So, as we end our conversation and close out this container with gratitude, once again, we recognize and honor all the ancestors and the ancestors of the lands we all occupy. We also recognize and honor you, dear Kapwatid, for joining our conversation today. And as always, I'm me, and I leave you with the blessing. As you continue on this brave journey of decolonization, recognizing that we may all come from different backgrounds and upbringings, may you recognize the uniqueness of your own story and allow those sticks, stones, and bricks to build bridges that can set up foundations for generations to come. To understand that we cannot do this work without remembering we are always connected to each other. May you be gentle with yourself as you recognize, embrace, and embody the truth of your ancestral griefs. That you may choose to recognize how empowering these stories are when you speak of the past, and may you alchemize those stories into empowered action for future generations, for all of us. May the remembrance of non-separation of Kapwa anchor you into your heart. And until we meet again, may you know that all is well and will be well. And no matter what happens, you are loved.